Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I have got two cards to share with you that I am creating using the Spellbinders Clear Stamp of the Month from July. And I am skipping ahead here to the watercolor. I have sped this up quite a bit for you, but if you want to skip to where I'm actually putting the card together, you'll want to go to around the 4-minute mark. I have gone ahead here and stamped this out, including the sentiment in the middle, using some VersaFine ink, and then I heat set that with some Simon Says Stamp clear embossing powder. And I'm using my usual for watercolors here. So it's the Fabriano cold press watercolor paper and my Gansai Tambi watercolor palette. I have some brushes. I'm sorry, I forget the name of those. I'll link them for you below though. And I am just mixing together some greens and some browns, and then I use a little bit of red for berries to color in all of the little elements around this frame. So coloring in just the elements it felt like it was a bit disconnected from the frame. So you'll see what I do is I go in here and just putting a little water on my brush. I'm going to pull a lighter color of each, the green and the brown, and kind of move that around to blend together to give a fill in to that area that is a little bit blank around the frame. I mean, you'll see me do that sort of back and forth as you go through here. So I'm going to go ahead and heat set that just to make sure all my watercolors are dry. And then there I gave you a look at the coordinating frame, which will cut this whole piece out. I'm going to pop this up using some foam dots, and I've got a card base made from MFT's Red Hot cardstock. I'm going to pop this down right on top here. For the inside, I've got a Nina paper panel trimmed to 4x5 1/4. And I'm going to use some of the smaller sentiments for my inside panels. For this one, I went with "And a Happy New Year." And I'm going to stamp that out using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I will, of course, add some ATG to the back of that and place that on the inside of my card base. And that will complete card number 1. For card number 2 here, I am working on some Stamp Market Mossy cardstock. For this one, I'm going to do sort of a tone on tone. So I have again pulled in the frame, and I'm going to use some Versamark ink on this. I'm going to go ahead and hit my paper there with my anti-static powder. And then I'm going to stamp this out. Now, you don't have to actually emboss this. This will just give you sort of the darker color, tone on tone. But if you don't emboss it, then you want to make sure to hit that with your heat gun so that it is nice and dry, because this is a very sort of sticky ink. For me, it's always easier to just go ahead and add the clear embossing powder. But the difference is this, if you just stamp with the ink and dry it, it will give you a flat color. And of course, with the embossing powder, it will make that a little bit shiny. So I've gone ahead here, stamped that out a few times, making sure I have a nice crisp image. And now I will add my clear embossing powder and heat set that with my heat gun. Next, I'm going to add my sentiment in the middle, again using that Merry Christmas. Again, I'll hit that with my anti-static powder, and I'm going to use my Versamark ink. And this time, I will use some Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail White. Hope that sentiment stand out and pop up there in the middle. And again, I will hit that with my heat gun. I have gone ahead and trimmed this down a little. I used a rectangle from the MFT Blueprints 32 die kit, and this measures 5 by 3 3/4. It gives a nice sort of rounded edge, which is why I tend to use that rather than just trimming it with my trimmer. I'm going to add a bunch of ATG to the back of this, and I have trimmed out some of my foam sheet. Place that there, and that's going to give me a little dimension on the top of my card base. This card base is again made from MFT's Red Hot cardstock. I'll add some more ATG to the back of my foam, and then again press this on the top of my card base. There was a little bit of that foam peeking out from behind, so I'm just going to use my tool, my X-Acto knife tool there, and just trim just a slice of that off. For the inside, I'm on a Nina panel trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to use 2 of the sentiments this time: Warm Wishes from All of Us and A Happy New Year, again using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I've added some ATG and placed that on the inside of my card base, and that will complete card number 2. Here are a few close-ups of the finished cards. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I've used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.